All right. Peace and blessings, Dr. Karasab, for joining me today on this occasion. If you just give me a second, I'm going to share this video and on Twitter and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Right.
But I'm gonna say it here too. Slavery never went away. Y'all just didn't read the fine print. Check this out. You can still legally own slaves in America. They just have to convict you of a crime first. That's Louisiana State Penitentiary right there, also called Angola. It's built on the
All right, cool. All right, so I got that out the way. Sorry about that. So how's things going your way? How are you today?
Everything is going well. I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm
That's
doing
what's
good.
up.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you for joining me today and talking a little bit about what's going over there in Ukraine. I know you're very well aware of the Africans and some of the things that they're facing over there. Not only is it, the war that's at hand, but also reports of racism, them not being able to cross the border along with some of the other Ukrainians that are over there that's crossing over into, Hungary and to Poland and some of the other areas, predominantly students that were going to school there in some of the universities or whatnot. I've been going through some of the feeds online and some of the chat rooms and collecting a lot of videos and some posts and things like that. And I'm going to share some stuff. And, I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of these images are very, very graphic. Okay. These images are going to show what it really looks like on the interior of Ukraine and how things are really, playing out that they're not showing in the media. We as I'm gonna say as a black media outlet, I'm gonna put it that way for right now. We have a responsibility to speak on these particular subjects, especially when it pertains to our people. I know a lot of people, they're going to disagree and say, well, the Africans, they don't rock with us. They have their own thing. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all share the same plight. Okay. We have a responsibility to humanity, period. But also we have to take care of home. And right now, I really feel, and you can correct me on this, Doc, but I really feel that the Americans are not really taking this as serious. Okay. I think they're really being dismissive about it. I think they don't care. I think as long as it's not happening to them, they're just going on about their day. Kind of like how the pandemic started with COVID. It was not on the American soil. It was out in the water. It's the people on the boat. It's the people over there in China. Let them deal with it, being very dismissive. But then when it started hitting our soil, it turned into a whole different thing now. People start taking it serious. Everybody going to the store and buying paper towel and, water and things of that nature. I just want to be able to present the understanding to the people, the viewers, or those that are watching, that what if this war was to touch our soil? What if we needed help from Africa? You know what I'm saying? Will we be prepared for a situation like that? And I think, for what we do within PANSOC, because I'm going to speak, in that regard as well, training, being prepared for those type of scenarios. I think people should begin to start taking it a lot serious. And so I want to, before we get too far down the road, what I want to do is go ahead and share one of these videos, and we kind of just talk a little bit about that particular video. It's a young lady. She made the news on one of the outlets out there, and I want to share that real quick, okay?
At this moment now, we are on the edge, like I said, of Ukraine, and we have to get ourselves to Poland, which is the other way across Ukraine of the border. We're not given any form of transportation. All the forms of transportation are available right now are prioritizing Ukrainian citizens, which means that leaves us at a position where we can't even get transportation for ourselves. I'm not saying that the embassy did not do enough. Of course, they're telling us things like when we get to Poland, we will have visa-free entry. But how am I supposed to even get to Poland? What does the visa entry mean to me if I cannot leave the city which I'm in right now? And that is our frustration. It is extremely cold. I can't even begin to imagine. This country gets to degrees of minus 25, even records of minus 30. So we're still within our winter period. We are outside. There's absolutely, like we're within the basement. There's absolutely no heating systems here. It's minus 2 degrees. We have to put on all the blankets, all the jackets that we have on. And you know that we are also trying to escape. So there's only so much we can carry with us. At the same time, you know, people are just really trying to gather and, like, you know, huddle in groups just so that we can at least be warmer with closer to one another. But it's really just, it's extremely horrible. And about the lights and electricity, yes, we've heard rumors that those could be cut off at any moment. We've also had rumors that, you know what, our internet and telecommunication platforms could also be cut out at any moment. So from any moment from today, we literally could lose communication with our families as well and the rest of South Africa. That's why we felt the need to reach out to anyone who could be able to help us while we still have this window of time to act now.
Wow. She said a lot.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to play it again, you know, just for the sake that, you know, her accent, for many people, they may not be able to catch on to what she was saying. But in a nutshell, she began to speak on the issue that they were having with transportation to the border and visas and not being able to cross the border. She's upset that none of those things were in place when it comes to them making it to the border from where she was. And then what's the point of having a visa that once you get to the border, you can't cross? Okay. This is a student. They're in Kharkiv, Ukraine. You know, I really feel that within her tone, she's saying that the government has let her down from what she's saying. You know, coming from Africa, you're going to an entire different place, a different, you know, locale, and you're expecting to be in a place where you're going to receive, you know, the proper care in case situations like this happen. Now, given that you are in Ukraine, okay, you know where you are, all right? We understand the history of Ukraine, but you're there for an education. We were just talking about the very same scenario here on American soil when it comes to the HBCUs. Okay, students leaving home, going to a place, whether they leaving from Cali and come going to Georgia, going to New York, Florida, that's 3,000 miles from the West Coast to the East Coast that you're leaving home to go to have an education where you feel as though your life is in good hands. Now, and I'm gonna say it, shit done hit the fan. What to do now? Okay. Based on what we've been talking about, I want you to speak on that just a little bit, Doctor, because you shared so much information. You've been doing a lot of work, and you've actually put some things in place to help our young people here on American soil. But in understanding what we were facing here with the HBCUs, and now we're seeing it being played out in the Ukraine, I want you to speak to that for a moment.
Well, it's very unfortunate that we have to even have these conversations and that they are interrelated. And I want to stress that they are interrelated. And the conversation that I have been hearing and seeing across social media is that, or I would just say, there are some who do not support Ukraine or what is going on over in Ukraine for whatever reason, but they believe that, or they're being dismissive because they don't. I don't want to say that people don't care. I will just say that some of our brothers and sisters don't understand how it is or can be directly related to what is going on or can happen over here in the United States. And what I will say is, even just looking at this situation right here, we have this sister who is, she's just a student. And we have students in the US who travel abroad to study all of the time. So even though she is, the person in this video is not from the United States, please know that there are people from the United States. There are Black Americans who are over in that area. I actually have someone from my church. Now, they are not, they are a person of color, but they aren't Black. But that is just from my church. But there are Black Ukrainians. So the thing is, there are people of color and there are Black people who are directly affected by this. So this young lady, she speaks directly to what Bronze Alert and what PANSOC was formulated or formed to do. And let's go back to what she was saying. She's there, she's a student, and the government have made allowances to where these students get to the borders, that they have open borders, and if they have their visas, they will be able to cross.
Mhm.
She's saying that that is great. However, it's useless to her or to them if they can't get to the borders. So if you cannot get to safety, who cares if you can cross the border? If you can't make it to the border, then the border is of no benefit to you. So how does that happen? How do you get to the border? And the issue that's happening is that the government, and the reason that they are feeling abandoned is that the government, that is the only allowance that the government has made for them, that their particular government has made for them, is to open it up to where their visas will be allowed to have.
Y'all on YouTube?
And the issue is that there is no travel. There is not a convoy coming to pick them up. There is no air support. There are no vans coming. There's no one coming to get them from wherever they are across Ukraine to get them to these borders. They have to get there on their own. Also, with that, the priority is the Ukrainian citizens. So, coupled with the fact that you have to first get there, they are prioritizing the Ukrainian citizens. And so she is not a Ukrainian citizen. And please don't be confused. There are Black Ukrainians, even though there's a small population, even one is enough for concern. So the issue is going back to the issue of racism. That, and I'm sure that you have seen the other videos, which we will get to, so maybe I won't speak on that right now. But there has been conversation about what happens when things like this happen, because people don't make the correlation between how this affects us and then how it affects what goes on over there. Because you look at things like this and go, oh, that could never happen in the United States. But people quickly forget that things like this have happened in the United States. I am quickly taken back to Hurricane Katrina, which is what actually brought me into rescue. We were actually stationed at Fort Benning in Georgia when Hurricane Katrina happened. And you talk about going back to um, a third world country or even 9/11. But thinking about Hurricane Katrina, you have a flooded area and you have to evacuate. But how do you leave an area where it's flooded and no one can get to you, or you cannot leave by car or by bike or by bus or by train or whatever your mode of transportation that you're used to using? You're not able to do that. And you're going, well, how can something like that happen in America?
Mm-hmm.
Also, they can't communicate because the cell service is down or the internet is down. The same thing happened with Hurricane Katrina. You have a flood, and when the ground washes away, then the towers that are in place or the buildings where the antennas are, these buildings have failed, or the ground has softened, or because of the weather, or just because of the structural integrity of places, period. You cannot, it can't sustain the cellular activity, so you don't have internet or you don't have phone service to communicate to your family or to your friends, which means that you also cannot communicate to other people for help.
Mm-hmm.
So, or even for basic needs, which means food, water, and that main thing of transportation to get you out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do all of those things happen? Well, you have rescue teams that go in. You have you have, of course, the military who have their own goals and their own assignments, and then you have um, other people of courage who are also former military, like our General A.J. Fraser, who developed PANSOC. And so the training behind PANSOC and specifically the rescue missions that involve um, the boats or the water, you think about Hurricane Katrina. The only way that we were able to get in and out of New Orleans after, because when you got to New Orleans first, there was a barricade where you could not get in. There was only so far that you could drive. And then when you were already in the city, you could only get around by boat. And then it was dangerous to even walk in the water because when the water overflows and you have your lakes and your rivers and your swamp area and whatnot, you have the vegetation, you have rotting vegetation, you have animals who have passed, you have humans who have passed. You literally had bodies in the water who were deteriorating. You cannot walk and navigate through that without becoming sick yourself. So you had to be in both. You had to navigate the land by boat or by air. And if you are not able to do that, or if you do not have people who are trained to do that, then you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
also important because you're not eating. If you don't have people who are able to come in and deliver food by boat or by air, which is why air missions are necessary to deliver food to areas also on top of places, because it's not like you can just come in and drop them to the ground because the area is again flooded. And then you run the risk of it being contaminated. So if you cannot get those, you have to have people who are trained to get those items into you. And then also the people who are injured have to have medical supplies delivered in as well. So all of those, there are just so many moving pieces, that I know we'll get to and I could talk about forever, but I'll let you go ahead, brother.
No. You're perfectly fine. Yeah,
talk about, but
yeah, no, go right on ahead because you're touching everything that I really wanted to get to without me asking you. This is perfect because, this is one of the things that people really don't understand about the need for, Black militias and what the value that they bring, especially PANSOC. PANSOC is Panther Special Operations Command and training in specialty areas such as skydiving, okay, come on now, help me out. In the water. What would you do in the water? Scuba
diving, and then it's boating.
Yeah.
It's telecommunications, being able to read maps and
right, exactly.
compasses. There's just so much that PANSOC encompasses, and it is not. And I hate that the word militia is even used because there are, great, militias out there. But again, like you said, PANSOC is the Panther Special Operations Command.
Right.
And it has its own mission and its own goals, and that is rescue.
Right.
And that is why. And that is why we train the way that we train. And it is to be a benefit for when things like that happen.
Right.
Because they can happen and they will happen over here. So yes, it does happen like it is happening over in Ukraine. So again, getting back to them, we'll come back to the United States, talking about that intersectionality. But over in Ukraine right now, you will see all of those people at the border right now, but you also have to think about the people that are in the cities. Some of those cities are surrounded by Russian soldiers. It is not as though they can walk around and just leave and go outside of the borders of that particular city when the resources inside the city where they are run out or medical supplies run out. So when things like that happen, or you have an area that is devastated by war, there are other videos where you see people moving landmines, or you just have areas that are just dangerous, period, because there is a war going on. So it is not safe to just walk around the street. So you have to think about, how do you get supplies to these people? How do the people who are alive, how are they functioning? How are they surviving? And that is where air teams come in. And that is where people who are able to navigate the land, because your cell phone is not working. Nobody is over there using Google Maps right now. Nobody is over there using MapQuest. There is no cell service.
No, not at all.
And then also with that, remember, it was a few days ago where the government turned off Twitter. So the government also has the capability of, even when it is working, to stop you from using it. So if you aren't trained to live and work off of the land, then you are not going to be a benefit to anyone over there. And of course, the average person doesn't know that. And that is why organizations such as PANSOC and the Bronze Alert have come about to not only teach people, but these are the things that we have dedicated our lives to. It is about educating and informing people to be able to think critically and to be able to help themselves throughout these situations. Because you also have to bring yourself together mentally first to be able to do all of this. So that is also where the training comes in. When you repeatedly train, then things become habit and they become second nature to you. So when things like this happen and they show up, then you're ready to fall into place immediately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is why the training is important. And that is why these things are necessary. And that's why they're perpetual. And that is why you don't get together and train in one particular space or one particular spot. You're supposed to train in different areas. No area is just flat. No area is just one climate. No area is just water. We train all over the United States. We are everywhere across the United States. We train in different units. We all come together with our own specialized skills, and we teach each other our own skills because you never know. One, because we have to have, it's important that we share the same information, but you'll never know when it's needed.
Right. Right.
And so my medical skills are just as important as my counterparts' navigation skills,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth and so on. And so you get together and you train in different areas of the country because what happens in the Midwest and how you train for what will happen in the Midwest in the snow and in the summer is going to be completely different than what will happen in an Alabama or a Mississippi or New Orleans, where near Lake Pontchartrain, where you have swampland, or in Florida, where you have alligators,
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of territory. So it is completely different, and all of it matters. And so we're going to be everywhere. We are
Yeah.
going to be everywhere. We're going to be training. We look for opportunities to train. We look for different areas to train in different scenarios because that's how we stay on top.
Right.
My dad always says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Exactly.
That is the mission behind PANSOC, and that is why we do what we do. So if you see us in the air and you see our General AJ jumping out of the plane, it's for a reason. It is not or the tandem jumping, as you will see. It is because you will have to at times get people to safety.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's the point if you are not saving people?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you out there if you are just present?
Mm-hmm.
It is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are out, if you learn to tandem jump, then that is one person that you are qualified to move into safety.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn how to jump on your own, you're able to deliver supplies. You're
Mm-hmm.
able to deliver food.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to deliver needed medical. You're able to do all sorts of things, even something as simple that we take for granted every day, such as water.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason. Or you're able to even drop those things yourselves. Or when you're able to read maps and compasses, you're able to navigate the land and know where you're going, and then be able to help those rescue teams find you. And so we're not only using that information ourselves, but going back to the HBCUs, that is the goal of what PANSOC and the Alert is doing, is teaching those students in the community how to use those tools so that they can help us help them if they ever get into those situations. Because it's so easy. We are not so far removed from these situations. Again, you have Hurricane Katrina. You have 9/11. These things happened over here where our country was devastated, where we could not get in and out of cities. We could not communicate with our families, where people were missing.
Mm-hmm.
And something so simple, you could not pick up your cell phone and call anyone. You could not get on Google and try to get your way out of that. It just wasn't happening.
I want you to hold that, because in the next clip, that's exactly what the lady is saying. I'm gonna play this again, and then we're gonna go right back to that, because communication is the key. And this is what was troubling her the most, not just transportation and her visa, but it was about communication. I'm about to roll the clip.
At this moment now, we are on the edge, like I said, of Ukraine, and we have to get ourselves to Poland, which is the other way across Ukraine, of the border. We're not given any form of transportation. All the forms of transportations are available right now are prioritizing Ukrainian citizens, which means that leaves us at a position where we can't even get transportation for ourselves. I'm not saying that the embassy did not do enough. Of course, they're telling us things like when we get to Poland, we will have visa-free entry. But how am I supposed to even get to Poland? What does the visa entry mean to me if I cannot leave the city which I'm in right now? And that is our frustration. It is extremely cold. I can't even begin to imagine. This country gets to degrees of -25, even records of -30. So we're still within our winter period. We are outside. There's absolutely, like, we're within the basement. There's absolutely no heating systems here. It's -2 degrees. We have to put on all the blankets, all the jackets that we have on. And you know that we are also trying to escape. So there's only so much we can carry with us. At the same time, you know, people are just really trying to gather, like, you know, huddle in groups just so that we can at least be warmer, closer to one another. But it's really just, it's extremely horrible. And about the lights and electricity, yes, we've heard rumors that those could be cut off at any moment. We've also had rumors that, you know what, our internet and telecommunication platforms could also be.
This is the part here where she's talking about the communication. I'm gonna roll that back just a little bit. All right.
Another, but it's really just, it's extremely horrible. And about the lights and electricity, yes, we've heard rumors that those could be cut off at any moment. We've also had rumors that, you know what, our internet and telecommunication platforms could also be cut out at any moment. So from any moment from today, we literally could lose communication with our families as well, and the rest of South Africa. That's why we felt the need to reach out to anyone who could be able to help us while we still have this window of time to act now.
Yeah. Back to what you were saying. Communication is key. All right. You're about to lose all forms of communication. Everything is about to shut down. No internet, no way to charge your phone. Okay. No way to travel. It's cold outside. What does that do to a person psychologically? You're a doctor of psychology. Let's talk psychology, and how does that affect these students, because they're young, they haven't experienced this before. None of us have, you know, for the most part, you know. So by this being, you know, a very, you know, traumatic incident for them, you know, this is devastating. You know what I'm saying? How does this play a part now moving forward, not only in their regular lives, but also, you know, in their careers?
Well, there are several moving pieces here when you talk about the psychological aspect of it. Our first instinct always is survival. However, not however, our first instinct is always survival. When you are put in a situation to where your options are limited or where you have none, then two things will happen, and that is where your fight or your flight will engage. And here you are in a war torn country, and we're not even going to get to the racism piece, you know, right now, because that in and of itself is its own traumatic piece. But you are feeling abandoned, for one, because your own home country has not provided an avenue or any resources for you to leave. So that is not instilling any confidence that this thing is going to end anytime soon, or that you are going to be able to move to the next level. But then you also have that combined with the fact that you your options are limited, even in the spaces and in the way that you can move. You're in a war-torn country. It is not as though you can go off and do your own thing and figure it out for yourself. These people are being rushed and hurried, and in a way, I don't want to even say in a way, but decisions are being made for them, but they are not even sure that the decisions that are being made are even in their best benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a complete state of confusion. So just as when you raise children, children act out when they aren't able to predict what's going to happen next. Well, when adults are not able to know the steps or what's coming, not only does it diminish the self confidence, but in a lot of cases, it can diminish that will. I don't want to say the will to live, but it can be that will to push forward or to that will to trust, I would say, what will happen next. Because
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand that you're going to see a lot of, if you've seen these videos, you see a lot of women and children.
Yes.
They're men, and you have to think about the culture that they're in as well. And their culture is where the men are always thought of as being the strong leaders and the protectors and the providers, and they are not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are on their own. And so that is what I mean about those pieces that have been slowly chipped away from them. So and then you don't know if they're going to be present on the other side. So then there goes that will. Because what am I living for?
Mm-hmm.
What is there for me if I make it to the other side? And I'm not saying that people don't want to live. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that you are in a war-torn country and that all of these things will run through your head.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that affects you psychologically, your brain believes at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what will begin to affect you physically.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look at this video and you're in these spaces like this. And this is why the transportation and the communication is so important, and how all of these pieces come together, because you are approaching below zero temperatures, these very cold temperatures. You have very young children out there as well. You are not able to move around. So you're also dealing with the psychological piece, which is about to start affecting the physical piece. You have frostbite that may begin to set in. You're not able to move around the way that you can so that your limbs and your blood is able to circulate, or that you are able to be able to stay alert or be able to do those things that we teach in first aid, that will be able to keep your mental acumen up to par. So it is like I said, there are a lot of moving pieces. And I'm just speaking from the healthy people. This is just coming from a healthy standpoint. We're not even talking about the people who have the anxiety issues, or the people who may be claustrophobic, or the people who may have disabilities. The mothers who are there with children. You have one video who has a mother there who just had, I think the baby was maybe 2 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not the only one
No.
who may have PTSD. You have all of these people from all of these different walks of life, and all of these energies, all of these issues are surrounding you. So you are not on an island, isolated, feeling what you are feeling yourself. You are taking in what everyone else is feeling and doing around you. in this one enclosed space because you are not allowed, like I said before, to move or to go around.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
so with that being said, and why the transportation piece is so important, because you need to be able to move people quickly and swiftly. Again, because of everything that I just spoke about psychologically, but physically, you never know what medical issues could arise, such as the frostbite and everything that comes with being exposed to the elements and in the cold. But also, what happens or what comes along with people who are on medications, who need to eat, such as people who have heart conditions or people who are diabetic and may need or who are insulin dependent, people who are on psychotropic medications. There's a whole gamut of issues that are going on out there right now. And the mode of transportation, which you have to think about in a war-torn country. You are out there where it is the ground right now that is being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not like you have time to just go 35 miles an hour, through the city and just take your time and get out.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what is happening. And then, of course, you still have the fight or flight that I spoke about. You have maybe a vehicle that will show up and you have all of these people bum rushing
Mm-hmm.
a door, trying
Mhm.
to get to where they're going. And when people are in their fight or flight and then survival mode, injuries come behind that because everyone is trying to get there to make sure, it's self-preservation. Everyone's trying to make sure that they're included.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there with the mother, and you have the food and the nourishment, and things have to happen swiftly, they have to happen quickly, and they have to happen in an orderly fashion. And if you are not trained,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't consistently train,
Right.
and if you are not aware, or if you do not expose yourself to
Mhm.
these types of things, then you will not know how to react to these situations when they happen. And then you have these students there. You have these students who still, uh, such as what we were dealing with the HBCUs, and even with my daughter, who still has to matriculate, who still
Mhm.
has to worry about her class and her class schedule, and graduating. But how do you do that when your life is threatened? What is the most important? And then, and I think about one of the main issues and concerns of the Bronze Alert as well is the balance, reporting across all issues in the media. One thing everyone says, always says about, especially when it comes to Black women, is how strong we are. And, it gives off this perception that we can just take anything and get through anything and, oh, they'll be okay. No, that is not the case. We are very resilient people. And yes, we get through things as a matter of survival, but that comes with trauma. And that comes with a lot of chaos and being damaged behind it. But help is always needed.
Mhm.
These people are not going to be okay.
No.
These students are not going to be okay. They
No.
are always going to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mhm.
is not something that they are going to be able to push in the back of their minds and act as though it didn't happen. PTSD is real,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens across every spectrum, every race, and every age group. And it does not happen all the time overnight, and it does not happen to a particular subset of people. And so it could just be that this student will be in class a year later, a year from now. And, I don't know, I'm just making something up. And it's the 4th of July, and they hear fireworks, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes them right back to this bombing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no idea what that reaction to that situation is going to be.
Yeah.
So, there are damaging effects.
Yeah.
to all of this.
Yeah, because just in relation to slavery itself and what that looked like, Africans being displaced, indigenous people that was already here in America being displaced.
Mm-hmm.
No one, I'm not going to say no one was ready, but the majority of us wasn't ready, because if we were ready, then I don't think slavery would have been in the shape and form that it would have been in, that it was in. We would have been a little bit more prepared. I think we would have fought a little harder if we were truly prepared, because there were a lot of people who were on the other side of the fence who were welcoming the Europeans here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You had those that was on the other side that didn't want them to come here. So it was kind of, it wasn't balanced. And same thing with these students there in Ukraine. You already know where you are at. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, information out there to show you the racism that is embedded within Ukraine. Okay. I have a video that I'm going to show that actually proves that point. This young lady, she's, trying to find some type of means for her and her friends, and it's very disturbing. So I'm going to play that so we can really kind of talk a little bit about that, because racism is really a subject and a topic that people are not talking about surrounding the Africans in Ukraine. And so that's why we're here today. We're going to bring that out to the forefront. All right.
Speaking currently, we're at the border of Medica in Poland.
Let me start that back over just a little bit so we can really get an understanding, because it kind of started real quick. So y'all listen very closely, because she has an accent. Okay. And you have to really, really listen. All right. So if you don't have your speakers up, turn your speakers up and listen to her. All right.
This is Makoro speaking currently. We're at the border of Medica in Poland. This is the separation that has been happening, whereas Ukrainians are treated better while the Africans aren't. We've been pushed, we've been shoved, we are denied access, and there are so many of us compared to the Ukrainians. Ukrainians get special treatment while the Africans are waiting outside in the cold in big herds. You get people from Congo all around here, a lot of Africans. You get Africans from Rwanda here. It's just a mess at the moment.
That happened pretty fast. I'm going to play that one more time. But basically what she is saying is that they are being pushed away, rejected. Whites are moving and advancing before them. They are last in receiving services. Okay.
This is Makoro speaking currently. We're at the border of Medica in Poland. This is the separation that has been happening, whereas Ukrainians are treated better while the Africans aren't. We've been pushed, we've been shoved, we are denied access, and there are so many of us compared to the Ukrainians. Ukrainians get special treatment while the Africans are waiting outside in the cold in big herds. You get people from Congo all around here, a lot of Africans. You get Africans from Rwanda here. It's just a mess at the moment. This is
This is disturbing. Just as Lily is saying in the chat, she says that I'm seeing African Americans on your video in Ukraine, but on the national news shows all whites. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hence the bronze alert. We are pushing for that balance and fair reporting. People do not understand. There are Black Ukrainians over there, and our people are over there. And then even if you take the time to just do a Google search, you will see that there are protests in a lot of major cities where you will see people of all ethnicities out there protesting because they have family members out there that where they have family members who are over in Ukraine that are not being featured. Again, because only the people of no color are being shown.
Right, right. Now, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want people to think that all, people that are not of color, white people, are just being just straight jerks. Okay. Don't get that idea. I'm not that guy. Okay. I'm not going to paint that picture, because there are some really cool people over there, because actually I was just in a group where we were really dialoguing with a lot of those students over there. I was trying to get some of them to get onto the live, but I think as a result of them losing communication and their batteries dying, we couldn't get them on. So that didn't happen. But one of the facilitators that was making this happen was a young lady from Ireland. Not even there, but she created one of the groups so that they had a place to be able to communicate within a central location, because they shut down Twitter. They shut down some other social sites that they had over there. Okay. They shut down the PayPal, although PayPal did open it back up so that they can begin to, do donations. But that put a pause on their funds. They couldn't release, the funds wasn't released. So they switched over to GoFundMe. But, I don't want you to think that what we're saying here is to make all white people look bad in this situation. But I do want you to understand that it is our people, our African brothers and sisters that are receiving the short end of the stick. Okay. And while we're looking at this, I want you to use this as a tool to understand that what I need to be prepared for just in case this happens to me. What are they facing? How can I be prepared in the event of this type of disaster? Because it can happen. People did not think Katrina was going to happen. People did not think that the hurricanes was going to happen along the shores over there in Jacksonville and Miami in recent times, let alone the pandemic, COVID. Nobody expected COVID to hit. We didn't expect these numbers to, be the way that they are. Our friends and families that are close to us, we lost a lot of people. Now, with the war over there in Ukraine, we're losing a lot of our brothers and sisters mentally. They're being destroyed. Now, don't think that this does not affect you.
Absolutely.
It affects us too, because as I'm in the chat, and I'm just being 100, as I'm in the chat, I'm like, I can't help this lady who's saying that somebody who's next to her, she's bleeding. I have a whole conversation with the young lady in the chat. She's with someone. They stopped the bleeding and they're trying to, collect, all their things so that they can get on the bus so that they can make it over there to Poland. But the bus hasn't arrived yet. Some people, they had got on the bus before them, and it's affecting me. Just as well as we having a conversation with you, it's affecting you too, whether you know it or not. Now, let me ask you this. If you are not prepared, okay, that's a different conversation. If you are prepared, that's a different conversation. We're going to have those conversations because PANSOC as an organization is here to provide those for you. That's why we're out here training. That's why we have people on our team, such as the doctor who is sharing all of this wealth with you so that you can understand how this affects you psychologically and how it is affecting them in real time. PANSOC, just to kind of go back to paint a picture for you, because there's a lot of people out here that want to discredit PANSOC. Okay. This is the kind of stuff that really irks my nerve and get me all bent up out of shape and get me moving and get me grooving. Because at first I was a little laid back, reserved to the show because I was trying not to let my emotions show. But once I seen this video here, I'm crunk back up. And you're lucky I got people on the line here that I really want to I got to keep it clean. All right. I got to keep it clean. We'll save it for another day. But people want to discredit PANSOC for who they are. And you know who they are. You can go online and probably find some of those people. But we train. We get out here and do the things that we're doing so that you will have boots on the ground in the event something like this happens. You'll have some people that you can call, or there are trainings in place that you can get involved with locally. Those kids didn't have that. If they did, I'm sorry, if they didn't take advantage of it. But if you can look at this video that's on the screen right now, why are these bags left the way that they are? Because if anything is in that bag that is of value, they will have it on their back.
Mhm.
Because everything that I have in my survival kit, it's not going to be on the ground over here. Trust and believe me, because I have everything I need in my backpack. This is what we want to be able to teach and train you in the event something like this happens. People don't want to go out into the cold, Dr. Caressa.
Mhm.
They want to get out there and go camp out in the cold because it's cold.
Absolutely.
There's frost on the ground. You know, it's uncomfortable. The ground is hard. You know, they say I want to go out when it's warm outside and the sun's nice and sunny. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to experience those type of conditions in which they are in right now. So I'm in the chat again, and I'm like, okay, now here's a manual. Here's a book that you can utilize right now to gather some things for your backpack. Some of these kids, they were in Sumi. Sumi is right outside of Carvet. And this is one of the locations, and they're pretty much blocked in because the city had been surrounded by Russian troops. They can't get out. People can't get in, but they're safe within the city. Okay, they're safe within the city. So you have the opportunity to get to a store to be able to purchase and buy the things that you need to be able to get. So I put a list of things that they can get in the chat. The PDF file got shared over about 2,000 times within the chat. Okay, that lets me know it was valuable information. We have to be very serious about this and take this as a learning opportunity to be able to be ready. Don't be reactive. We need to be proactive. Mm-hmm. I got another video I'm going to share here. Another young lady here. And it's just one story after the next, but it's their reality. And if you have not seen any of these, you're getting you're getting the first look right now. Okay. This video right here is the young lady. She's getting on the train, I believe. And they told her to get back, and they let the non-white young lady get on first.
Letting her go. They're not letting her go. Is it right?
Okay. It's a very short video, so we're going to play it one more time.
Black girl go. They're pushing her. They're not letting her go. They're not letting.
Okay, right now, it's the young lady. She's right here. I don't know if you can see my, you probably can't. But anyways, it's the young lady at the very top there with the police officer. She has braids in her hair, and, you know, they're telling her to move back.
Letting her go. Is it right? Is it right? They're not letting the black girl go.
So she's coming back down. She's coming back down. Now, there she is.
Go. They're not letting the black girl go.
She just went up. The white girl is over there. She's going up.
They're not letting the black girl go. They're not letting the black girl go. They're not letting the black girl go.
Another young lady go up as well. This is all in the chat. This video here had like 7 million views when I got hold to it. It was one of the first videos. This was one that actually sparked everything online. This is the type of readiness we need to be prepared for. Okay, because at the end of the day, we've always been on the bottom end of the totem pole. So we have to be able to come together, put down our differences. Okay. One thing that I really hate is that some people don't want to take advice from another person because they may feel as though they are not qualified. I had a conversation with someone and said, well, what are you qualified for? Well, when we're out here training and we're, learning survival skills, qualifications is not really so much of a big deal to a certain degree. We need people who are experienced. Because when those bullets start flying through the woods, that bullet is not asking who has a degree and who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? We need to be able to have those type of skills that allows us to be able to save our brother and our sister standing next to us. Okay. Do you know how to put on a tourniquet and stop bleeding? Do you know CPR? The basics, because in a war, in a situation like this, you need to be able to provide some type of medical services. So PANSOC, that's what we do, right? We get out here, we train. Now, in the event of Katrina, again, in the boats, rescuing people, it's important. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why some people get all twisted about why we do what we do. It's important. Everything is important when it comes to survival. What do we have? Let's go. I'm going to go into the chat here because we got a lot of people in the chat right now. I want to send a shout out to everybody in the chat. Edward Roberts, appreciate you checking in. Venus, Sister Venus, what's up, Venus? Who we got here? Again, Steve, peace to you, my brother. Brother AJ, Rico Breed, what's up, my brother? It's a lot of people in the chat. Thank you all. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, show some love, share the video. And let's see here. Y'all, somebody had made some comments here. I want to address some of these comments.
Like, share, and comment. And if I can go back, you made some great points while you're skimming through the chat to bring out those comments. What I would like to say is to bring that back to us in the United States. You go back to the former president, and he recently called Putin a genius. And then you remember it was only about 2 years ago when they were meeting and shaking hands, and he was, our former president he actually withheld military aid to Ukraine so that Putin could construct this information about Joe Biden's son, and I'll just leave that right there. And now you fast forward and you have this man calling who has never served in the armed forces. None of them. Is calling this man a genius behind this war, this baseless war. And I say baseless, no war is ever good. But you think about, and people don't even, there are some people who don't even know why Russia has decided to attack Ukraine. And a large part of the issue is that Ukraine is a diplomacy and Russia is not. And so Putin wants to destroy that. And so Putin is creating this false narrative. And he has for years been saying that he wants to save Ukraine from this Nazi control. Mm-hmm. And that is just amazing to me, because how can Ukraine be under Nazi control when its leader is Jewish? Mm. And so when you talk about white supremacy, if that is not the definition of white supremacy, or if you don't have someone trying to attempt the Holocaust 2022, when you have a nation trying to overthrow a government because the leader is Jewish, and you want to destroy the diplomacy there because their people do not believe or in an agreement with what you are in, and then you have the former president of our nation calling this very same person a genius. And he himself had his Kim and Ken possibles climbing our nation's capital on January 6th of last year. But you think that none of this can touch you. Those are the things that you need to think about. That's how this affects us. And I'll just let that rest with you because those are things that you need to think about. You need to really get within yourself and think about the things that are happening globally because it's more than just a news feed. These things are years in the making. And if you go back and you follow the history behind this past president, I mean, even before this, but still, if you go and just look at the history of this past president and Putin, you'll see a lot of things. But, you know, going forward also with something that you said, Major, the students with the bags. Mm-hmm. So when you look at there are other reports, there are some students who are talking about how they had to pretty much shelter in place. Mm-hmm. They would find out that it was time for them to leave where they are or leave where they were and travel to the border so they could leave by just a knock on the door. And they only had moments to prepare so they could get out of the buildings. You didn't know, they didn't know what was coming. Some of the buildings, some of the areas around them were being bombed. Danger was approaching, or they were simply going to cut the power grids or cut the power to the buildings that some of these people were in. Well, this is also something that the students at the campuses at the HBCUs were facing, possibly had to. Well, they did have to face. So no, thankfully, there were no credible bomb threats. They didn't. I will say that they did not find any bombs. You will find recent reports where the Department of Homeland Security have identified our HBCUs as soft targets. That's another conversation. But with that being said, when the threats happened, our students did have to shelter in place. Mm-hmm. And so sheltering in place means that you had to stay, that they went to their dormitories and they had to stay there. And you had to, as they say, live off the land. You had to live off of what was there with you. And so the faculty that was there, now mind you, remember that these threats came in the wee hours of the morning. So if you were not already on campus, some of them were allowed to leave, but more importantly, people were not allowed to enter onto campus. So you had no one cooking meals for them. You had no one in the medical offices or anything like that. So if there was any kind of treatment that was needed or any kind of food that needed to be prepared, these students were at the whim of what was in their dormitories. And that was the issue, because I spoke with students that were at Albany State in Georgia, and they had not eaten. Well, I spoke with a parent, and they had not eaten all day because there was no one there to prepare food for them. And so going back and what PANSOC does, we teach you the necessities of what to pack and what to keep in what we call our bug out bags. Mm-hmm. One, you don't have time to pack critical or immediate situations. Those things need to already be there. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, from the clothing all the way to the food, you need to have those non-perishable items there. So when you think about the people there who are at the border, or you think about our students who had to be there in those dormitories, if they would have had the canned goods, if they would have had things that you don't have to cook when you don't have electricity, if you would have had drinking water, because your body will need water, it could survive longer with water than it can with food, then you would have had those things there to help you to survive. And so those are the things that that they would need. And then you have to pack lightly because you never know how you are going to travel. and or your means or mode of transportation, especially if you have to go and you have children with you as well. So it's important that you know the importance of not only what to pack, how to pack it, the things that you will need, because again, there comes in the psychological piece and the fight or flight mode. You're thinking about survival, and it is going to be so easy to miss out on something. But if you're already prepared, that is one thing that you don't have to worry about.
Mhm.
So again, that's just another piece that we teach you as far as survival for yourself and for the people around you. Because again, if you aren't able to take care of yourself, especially if you have to travel with your children, if you injured, how are you going to or be able to care for your children? Who's going to be there to care for your children if something happens to you? And I
Mhm.
think that's a lot of the weight that these mothers are out there carrying right now. So it's what to pack, and because of course you want to grab something simple, like everyone is grabbing something for lunch. The first thing you want to grab, you might grab a loaf of bread and some meat. That is something that is going to spoil and mold, when you're in an emergency situation. So of course that's not what we're going to teach you to pack in your bug out bag. So there is training and there is a science behind all of this. And this information is what is being shared and what is being taught
Mhm.
to community, because these are the things that we have trained and taught, ourselves. So there is a huge importance behind all of it. No, so I just wanted to bring that up when you were looking for the comments and the um,
Yeah,
before I forgot.
yeah, you're right on time because uh, what you're speaking on is exactly where we need to be at right now, and that's about preparation. And you're right, Lieutenant. Great point, Doctor. He's giving you a compliment here. Preparation for the final crisis. You know, we never know when that moment is going to be. So yes, we have to be prepared. That's why we train. One of the taglines for PANSOC is train or die.
Mhm.
Another one is you can't keep what you can't protect.
Absolutely.
These ideas are so key to everything that is going on right now in Ukraine. Right now, I posted a question: will I find my way? Do I have what I need to get my bug out location on to get to my bug out location on schedule without getting lost? Having a sense of direction. That's another element to survival, is being able to navigate without having Google Maps, without having Waze, being able to use a compass and a protractor and being able to use a topographical map.
Mhm.
Those things are key. That's the conversation I was having again within the chat with some of these students over there in Africa is, which way do we go? How do we get out of the city? Well, if you have a cell phone right now and you're able to chat with me, obviously, because you're on the internet, you have access to the information, then being able to pull up a map and seeing where you are and seeing where they are and pinpointing locations is key to your survival right now. But they're not thinking that way. I'm posting the information here, but again, you're in the middle of a crisis. These things are not relating to you well, especially if you haven't already been preparing for it. It's very foreign to you. Although the PDF got shared several times, these things are key. We're talking about it right now. So if you are, watching this at a later date, a later time, please, you have two websites on this video. Scrolling by, pause it, write it down. You have the Bronze Alert, and then you have PANSOC. These two websites are going to be key for you in the event of calamity. Okay. You have one website that could possibly give you the information that you need to provide you with the survival things that, you know, are going to be effective for where you are. And then you have an alert system. You have people that you can call that can point you in the right direction to get you where you need to go. Because when we go back to the HBCUs, they were transmitting everything to the students via Instagram and Twitter, just as they are doing right now. I think that's a very ineffective way to communicate, especially if all communications have failed, especially if you have not even had this type of conversation with your students in the very beginning. We should always be prepared. If your kids are traveling across the country to go to another university, these are the conversations you should have. Don't pack their bags and say, you got everything, you got your toothbrush, and you send them on their way. Well, they need to have another bag. Not only do they need to have a bag to be able to go out into the woods and survive or find some type of shelter, but what if there is a bomb? What if it is that they need to make it back home? Well, that's a different type of bag that they need to have. That's what we call the get home bag. Mm-hmm. You have a bug out bag and you have the get home bag. So moving forward, these are the things that we're going to be providing on the website that will allow you to be able to access this information, access people in your area that could provide you that training. PANSOC is not the typical old way of thinking when it comes to formations within the Black community. We are a conglomerate of many different professions. Again, we have the young lady here, the doctor who is of psychology, but also she understands what survival is. Don't let the hair and the makeup fool you. Okay. She know how to use that gun. All right. We don't play over here. Okay. Another thing, because it's plenty in the group. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. By looking at her, you wouldn't even know. And then,
I protect all of this.
You see what I'm saying? and you end up somewhere all bandaged up because you ran up on the wrong one.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We also have people that's within law enforcement. Mm-hmm. We have people that are ER doctors and paramedics. We have people that are within city government. We have people that are real estate agents. We have people of all walks of life, teachers. And we also have people who are inspired to be a part of the movement. We have activists that are working on really big cases of young kids that are out here. We just dealt with the case the other day. We're dealing with right now. Young guy named Leadon. I can't think of his last name right now. I don't want to mess it up. But Leadon, he was killed not too long ago by state troopers that did a pit maneuver and ended up killing him in the car. Okay. We have all kinds of people within PANSOC, okay, that specialize in a lot of different areas that could provide these type of services. You know what I mean? This is what make PANSOC so special. You can't, take what people say because they get a little bent out of shape because they had a bad experience with another individual. Sometimes people get into their feelings and then they don't know how to, vent. And so they take things to social media, you know what I mean? And want to, like Trump say, spread fake news. You know what I'm saying? And try to do everything within their power to discredit them because they just did not fit the bill. Or they run to somebody else who didn't fit the bill and then they take it personal and then they're just spewing all kinds of disinformation, right? But today you get a chance to hear it from those who got boots on the ground, who do this, who live this. There's a certain level of professionalism that we portray as well that separates us from a lot of these other groups. Although we are a part of a lot of these other groups, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Don't ever get it twisted that we are not of anybody. We are the people, just like you are the people. And we are for you. And there is no us without you. You understand? So even if you're not the individual that says, hey, I want to join, I want to be a part of it, I mean, it's not just that easy. You can do that. But the thing is that you can take part in some of these trainings that we're going to provide. And you can start with your family. Get them prepared, because that's all that matters right now. We want to train as many people. And guess what? For the most part, we don't charge you anything. We do all of this out of the love of our heart. We do ask for donations. I'm not going to trip. You know what I mean? It does cost to do things, but we're not putting tags on it to say this is what it is, and if you can't pay it, we ain't coming. You know what I mean? It ain't that type of party, you know, because we understand our people, and we understand all those who are not within our community, because we don't look at things the way other groups look at things that have painted a bad picture for themselves. Okay, look at PANSOC as the people that you can call on when you're in need. Okay, pansoc.org and bronzealert.com. Anybody in the chat that wants to join us, come on. You have anything you want to say? You want to join the conversation? You can just, use your voice. You know what I'm saying? You can call in if you want to be a part of it. I'm going to open it up for you all, because it's not just about us. It's about you as well. Okay. I want to, and while y'all are thinking about that, I have another video that I would like to go to too. Oh, we already have somebody here in the room. All right, my brother, we about to pull you up. Let's go. Let's see here. All right, peace, my brother. It's Mike. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, your voice is low, but I can hear you, but you're real low for some reason.
I'm real low. What about right now?
No, I think it's the app. I think it's the StreamYard app. YouTube, it wasn't low like that. So there's something with the StreamYard app or whatever.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Houston. I know AJ and some other folks with PANSOC. I'm not in PANSOC or nothing like that, but this is an important conversation, man. Like I'm a USCCA firearms instructor. So I do teach self-defense. I'm also an IT engineer. So I understand the cybersecurity and, all this stuff. People, This isn't about being panicked in this moment, like you were talking about earlier. This is about taking a lesson from this and listening to the advice and not thinking that can't happen to me. That doesn't mean you need to go out and panic, but at least focus on the 72-hour bug out bag. Like if you remember, I'm in Texas, and last year when that storm hit, people died. And here in Houston, people were scrambling, they were literally stealing wood from the barbecue places that had wood stacks outside because they didn't have any wood prepared. And I didn't even have wood. I went out and chopped some wood down and used that to burn in my house. And I also had candles, some of the little small tin foil candles that you could put on underneath some bricks, on top of some bricks, and have the little planters, those big planters. And it can, if you put like 12 of those, it can warm up and something you can have heat on without, if you don't have propane, or if your electricity goes out. Our electricity went out for 4 days. So like you're talking about these people in the winter, they're in the cold, and do they have winter boots? Do they have 0-degree gear? Did they prepare for that? Or did they just go there to go to the university? Like, I'm sorry, man, but you're in another person's yard. And we already have it tough here in America with the racism. I can't imagine going to another country where you can't own a weapon, you can't, all these rules, people don't like you and all this stuff, and you're having to leave. And that video you show with the sister trying to get on the train, that's effed up. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, like, that's how they're going to deal with it. If that happens here, people need to wake up, man. That's how these people are globally. This is not just in America. The racism is global. People smile in your face and cheese, when you get their money. But like fight or flight, like she said earlier, they're going to look after their own. So are we looking after our own?
Right. See, it was all good when you were going to school, getting your education, getting your money from your, whatever financial aid you were getting, and putting money back into their economy. Right. Everything was fine. But now, as a result of war, the playing field has been leveled now. And so now the first thing that's going to happen is people is going to go to self-preservation. And that's what's going on. They're preserving self and their culture first, you're last. So again, back to what you're saying here, they weren't prepared. You're in somebody else's yard. Okay, you can't just come out here and not have some type of exit plan. You got to remember where you are at all times.
The other thing too, I would say too is that whole protecting your own. A lot of people have I'm gonna use this word, Negropean mindset, meaning they think that just because they have a degree, they talk well and all these things, that makes them special, that they're going to get special treatment when you know what hits the fan. And so if we got to wake up, man, and realize, we got to look out for ourselves, man, period. With our own people, be black first and push everything else to the back. And the people in these other countries, they're going to see this and still not wake up because they're so brainwashed and so buck broken that they want to be white. They want to be everything but themselves, but who they are. And they want to clown their own people and have a lot of self-hate instead of getting together. And now is the time to get together. And unfortunately, I do prepping too and black survival stuff as well as firearms training. We're gonna have to step over people, man, that aren't listening. Because when bullets start flying and people aren't listening, I'm sorry, man. I can't help you if you can't help yourself. If you don't want to help yourself.
Yeah. Now watch this, and back to what you were just saying. A lot of these students were coming up missing at the border. One of the conversations we were having was that there was some form of draft. Okay, now maybe it's just me, but I'm thinking that they were getting to the border and getting drafted for this war, because one of the young lady, I have a couple of pictures that was sent to me where she was looking for her son. She said he was on the other side of the fence, but he never made it across. She was headed. They were down there in Poland somewhere. They were making it to the fence, making it to wherever he was. He never made it across. Okay. A lot of these stories that are unfolding is about civilians that are setting up barricades. These civilians are in the streets. They're giving civilians guns so that they can have more troops on the ground. So I'm thinking some of these young men are being pulled to take up arms and fight for on Ukraine's behalf.
Yeah, I made a post on TikTok. It got brought down for community violation because I said this is an example of why a country should never be anti-gun. This whole I don't need a gun. The police will take care of it. The military take care of it. When it gets real, now your country turns on you. What do you do then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people need to stop being anti-gun, man. And I especially was focused on the black community with the different religions. I'm gonna believe in, whatever you believe, that's your business. But if you believe that somebody's gonna come out the sky and save you in that moment, you need to rethink the situation. I'm sorry. Like, there's too much distraction in the black community. We argue too much about all this, what we believe, but none of that's gonna matter when bullets are flying. So, that's all I was wanting to say about that. I appreciate you having me on,
Yeah, no problem, brother. Hey, man, you always welcome, man. I like what you're talking. And you say you out in Texas?
Yeah, out of Houston, Texas. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, peace, brother. And I look forward to seeing you on the platform again, because we're going to keep these conversations rolling.
Already. Peace.
All right. Peace. Yeah, man. And that's important is being prepared. He say he's an IT guy. I wish I had, I just thought about, I wish I had asked him about some of the cyber things that's going on. They shut down the banks over there. They're shutting down the communications. You have a hacktivist group that shut down some of the government websites. Cyber warfare is real. When if they decide to possibly shoot an EMP at America and shut down all of our communications, because the way I see it, I don't think that they're going to be driving over here on tanks. Okay. They literally drove into Ukraine, but they're not going to be able to drive tanks from across the water here. That ships is going to take another type of strategy for them to enter onto our interior, on our soil. What does that look like? EMP shuts down, on the inside. Things happen from that perspective. Just like the lady was saying about the communications, I believe that is the far most you know, most because businesses fail because of lack of communication. If you're not communicating within a relationship, it fails. If we have a team, a football team, and the coach ain't giving the quarterback the plays, that's failure. If you're going to allow that quarterback, especially an inexperienced quarterback, to take that team under his own control and power. Communication is key. And if they cut the communication, if they cut the water, especially in the summertime, and I don't know how hot it is out there in Texas, but I'm pretty sure it is pretty hot. But here in Georgia, it gets hot, and you better have that water on deck. You don't have any water here, you're going to die. Okay? So if they cut the power, they cut the water, we're going to have a lot of deaths because people can't get to their medications. You know, you have the elderly who are, you know, using oxygen tanks and they're on some type of ventilators and things like that. People within the hospitals, you know, this is going to be mass casualties. You know what I'm saying? We have to be prepared for that. It's a lot we could talk about, Doc. And I just want to be able to, you know, at least establish what it is, who it is that PANSOC is, and what this African and Ukraine crisis means to the American. Whether people watch this video or not, it's here. The information is here. You know, those who do watch this video, I surely hope you take this into consideration. Go back to the beginning. Listen to what Dr. Karasek says. I mean, she shared some gems. Okay, I let her speak because everything she said was valuable, especially for you young women out there. Take that, especially for you who got kids across the coast. Think about what's going on and the possibilities, especially with the HBCUs. Take advantage of the Bronze Alert. Even if you're not using it right now, save it in your phone. Okay, because in the moment of calamity, you're not going to remember every detail, every website. So download these files and forms and whatever it is you need to download, PDFs to your phone. Save some of these things to a hard drive. And if the lights go out, they're going to come back up eventually. Okay, especially if you have, you know, they just hope you do have a solar charger. You can go outside and use the sun to charge your phone. Okay, I would say go online right now, order you one. You can charge your laptop and access those files. Save those PDFs. People talk about, oh, we don't use PDFs. We only use books. Guess what? I can put 1,000 books on a thumb drive. You can't take all those physical books with you. You see what I'm saying? So minimize, but maximize. There are things that are within your cabinet that you can use 5-10 times. You can start a fire with what you call the little things, the little pads, you know, like the little cotton balls. You can use a cotton ball and some flint to start a fire, but also what else can you use a cotton ball for? You can use a cotton ball to apply medication to stop, stop bleeding. You can use a cotton ball to plug something just in case you need water. You can filter water with a cotton ball. You have multiple uses for a cotton ball. You can ball that up and put it in a small place. It doesn't take much. You see what I'm saying? You got a lighter, you can get waterproof matches. You have several ways to start a fire. You can get, aluminum foil can start a fire. A magnifying glass can start a fire. You have several ways to start a fire. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have some type of way to apply, whatever medical needs you have, whether it's a splinter, a snake bite, or you get a gunshot wound or something like that. You have a tourniquet and you can stop that. Also, make sure you have some type of training when it comes to CPR. That's important. Mm-hmm. You can save your own life and you can save somebody else's life. Now, I never seen anybody save their own life with CPR, but, just think about it. Be prepared. That's all we want you to do. Be proactive, not reactive. Doc, I'm gonna leave it with you to give us the final words before we check out. I know you have much more because we got some other things we got to talk about too. but not today.
Mhm.
I think we're going to bypass
Right.
that. We're not going to address those things. We're going
Right.
to leave it where it is. But go ahead, though.
Well, one thing before I get my part of remarks, there was a sister in the chat that talked about how, or made the comment that you have not, or she had not seen on the news the videos that you had shown.
Right.
And there's a reason behind that. And again, that is one of the reasons why, a large part of why the Bronze Alert was created. It's about that balanced reporting when it comes to people of color, when it comes to Black people in media. When now that you see those videos, and now that you know that there are Black Ukrainians, now that you know that there are people, that there are Black people in the United States who have family over there, now that you see the correlation between what happens over there and how it directly relates to us, now that you know that that even our troops, or our Black troops, can get involved in things that happen over in Ukraine, and again, how this can directly affect us, it is incumbent upon you to contact your local media outlets and say, why are you only showing people of no color on these videos? Why are you not showing what happens in my community or people who look like me on the news? Why are you not also showing that people who look like me are picking up arms and are also fighting alongside them, and who are also doing positive things, and who are also standing up for their country? Because like I said, there are also Black Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm.
And why are you not showing that there are people who look like me who need help, so that people over here can help? Because you cannot fix what you don't acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And again, here we are again being dismissed. And again, it's that one population that is the most dismissed, and then the one that is the most heavily relied upon, but is the less resource, which is the Black woman. You have Black women with all of those children over there at that border, again, getting absolutely no coverage, no news coverage at all. And that is signaling to us that we don't matter. And if they don't matter, and if we do not speak up to them not mattering, then the cycle is just going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why you don't see the stories on the news. But again, like I said, it's incumbent upon you and the brothers as well, because we can't do it without you. If you all are going to be the leaders and want to call yourselves the leaders of our community, then we're going to hold you to that. And we're going to require you to lead. So you should be the first making the phone call saying, our sisters need to be portrayed in a different light. Now, the Bronze Alert does, it is about male and females, but this is what I'm saying. The leaders also have to make the calls along and in conjunction with the sisters, in saying, there are Black people over there as well. We need this coverage. And just as when a person of no color gets on camera and they cry, and then and they whine about this and that, then there are 19,000 and 2011 cameras everywhere, and there are all kinds of GoFundMe's and all sorts of foundations created overnight. These people, our people, Black people, and children need this as well. So call them, ask them why, and then demand that they do. Don't even give them a chance to explain to you why. Just tell them that they need to. Mm-hmm. And that it's necessary that this coverage is put out there. So, again, I think that this is a great conversation. It's a fluid conversation because this is ongoing. Even when this ends, it's not over. We are constantly seeing how everything that happens in this country and abroad intersects, which again leads back to the motto of PANSOC, train or die. This is why we do what we do. And we encourage others to either join us and take in on that, or and also involve yourself in receiving the training as well. Again, no one is asking for any money from you. There are a lot of false narratives that are being put out there that I am not going to discuss and or engage in, because of course we're vibrating on higher levels than that. Our concern is that people are safe and that they are being taken care of mentally and physically. So we want to make sure that you know that resources are out there for you. And also, it is harmful, and things that we also don't address in the Black community is that when we see these things happening on the screen to people that look like us, it is very damaging to us. And it just reinforces the trauma that we already live and have lived out through this country historically, anyway. So those types of things need to be addressed. And if we don't bring it to light by also doing something about it, because it is not enough to just look at it. It makes you feel helpless and it makes you feel defenseless when you just see these things on TV and you don't act or do anything about it. If nothing else, a positive action would just be to educate yourself on how you can help yourself within your community. If something like this happens, or any sort of rescue mission, it could be something, and I don't mean the word as simple as to diminish something of what I'm about to say, but something as simple as a house fire. But I'm only saying simplicity as a house fire in comparison to a world war. That's only that I mean. But you will learn how to rescue someone or your family, you know. So it's like I said, it's incumbent upon you to just have these basic skills so that you will be able to take care of yourself first, so that you can be a benefit to your community and to your people around you. And these are the things that PANSOC and the Bronze Alert teaches. And we will continue to teach and just encourage people to be the best form of and to show up and be present and be the best of themselves, so that will demonstrate throughout their communities. So again, visit the websites, engage in the conversations. If there are trainings that you guys know of that we can provide in your communities, like I said, we are all over the United States. We are not in one particular location. We do have 120 plus chapters. There are many of us, and the reason why it may seem unreal to people who are not involved in it is because we do not feel the need to broadcast it and to be uh, around with the camera all the time showcasing it. But where you will see it is in the work. So we invite you to involve yourself in that and to just be a part of something positive, or if nothing else, to just get the word out that there is something going on that is available to everyone across every facet of life in this movement. And we are open to positive interactions and engagement towards this common goal that we have. And also with that, if we can serve the community, but if you see a need where maybe something that we're lacking, or training that you think would benefit us, then by all means let us know. Like I said, this conversation is open and it's fluid and it's ongoing. So we're open to that as well. So again, visit the websites. we love to hear from you. We welcome all questions, comments, and concerns. And we just thank you guys for joining in on the show.
All right, that's what's up. All right, hey, I'm up out of here. Y'all make sure you download the TrueFlix app. We are on iTunes. I put the link into the in the chat. We are also on Roku, and a couple other places, but we're definitely going to be streaming right here on YouTube. So we're going to be back with another follow-up just to keep the conversation going and so we can provide more information about the Africans there in Ukraine. And also one last thing, Doc, you have a show that you do. Can you plug that in real quick?
Yes, I am on KUAW Radio. The name of my show is Up Close and Cultural with Dr. Karasay. I am on first and third Sundays at 4 p.m. That is Central Standard Time. And you can find me on YouTube across all social media platforms at KUAW. That is Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. It is a Black-owned radio station. And you can also visit kuaw.org and find me there as well. Thank you for that.
All right, that's what's up. All right. See y'all again next week, chat. Maybe in a couple of days. I don't even know. But just make sure you hit the bell so you can be notified when we go live. All right. We'll be right back. Peace.
Peace.